Atencio, really known for the long ball. Great shot maker. Fun player to watch, and one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah, they talk about $1 million smile, don't they? That's something in Atencio's locker. A smile that lights up the room. He plays in a sort of carefree manner, although that's the impression he gives. Clearly, he's desperate for success.
Yeah, it's good to see him play, right? He had a baby not too long ago. Pretty big family. Been talking to him in Saudi. He's going to start playing quite a bit more. I think he's definitely a name that's going to be making the cut quite a bit. Notice the pace at which he plays. Shot clock will never be a factor. You know, this 8-ball not being frozen, not really saying it's missable, but with it not being frozen, it could cause a little extra work.
The way he strikes the ball, to me, is very reminiscent of the young lad we saw in our first match yesterday, Albert Januata. Authority. 1-0 for the man who resides in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you look at his results this year, as I say, a very limited schedule, but he was 6th in the Derby City Classic 9-ball. Now that's a real achievement considering entries were well over 400 for that. He was runner-up in the US Open 10-ball, got to the last 16 of the Pro Players Championship as well. He's been knocking on the door. He is a former North Carolina State Open champion, actually. He's got a really big upside. As for Luong Thien, well, he lost his opening match of the tournament. Rocked on his heels immediately, losing 9-7 to the Brit Damien Massey. But then came back with an 8-0 whitewash of Michael Manueli. Then he beat Sergio Lagunas Moreno 8-2, JD Prestegard 8-2, before a really hard-fought battle in losers qualification when he overcame Lo Li Wen 9-7. So he's played 61 racks so far. Luong, he's been busy. 61 racks played, 40 of them won.
It's a good sign. Cue ball come a little high though, maybe. As you saw, digging into the cue ball just a tick much. Like to get that cue ball to drop into the center diamond and then splash back towards the black and yellow 9.
You can see there on our score strap, but I will remind you that now we're into the single elimination last 64. The matches are extended to a race to 10.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to probably just chip the 2 up towards the 4 here, I think. Can he come all the way around and hit it thin enough, but still have room to carry the cue ball? I was just wondering, I didn't feel like you could hit it thin enough, but the 3, wow. Wow. That is difficult. I did not imagine he played to get behind the 3 there.
Atencio basically means attention, and he certainly caught our attention.
Actually, a really good strike right there. He was trying to gain distance, wasn't trying to make that ball. Just didn't get the rubs he needed. So a long ball out of the gate here. Game number 2. Really just put this down. The 4 does carry to the 5. This is typically what he gets up for. And he knows this is the shot of the rack. Yeah, because of the corner pocket, he's struggling to get a good bridge. Wow. Great strike. Long and strong. And you'll see there, he doesn't mind the distance versus maybe getting a little bit closer. Does that ever get him in trouble? I don't know. He's got to drag this in.
He doesn't miss an awful lot, does he? The way he completed his win over Gorst was really spectacular. He was hooked. He knocked in the 8 out of the hook across the short rail here. Added the 9 and a very notable scalp was claimed.
Yeah, at the rate he's carrying on right now, we can definitely see, like Phil just said, how he beat Gorst and why. Speaking of Gorst, I believe he lost game number 1 here versus Robbie Capito. He is playing on the table just to our left.
Just a fraction overcooked, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Indeed, it was not. 2-0, just like that. So we've got, obviously, 32 matches in the last 64 of this Florida Open. 16 of those matches are going on right now. Yannick Pongas has made a quick start against Kasper Matikainen. He leads 2-0. The winner of Pongas and Matikainen will take on the winner of the match we're watching on table 1. Jan van Leerup, he's 1-0 up on John Morra. Just to confirm what Scott said, Robbie Capito has won the first rack against Fedor Gorst, and he's got a really good chance, actually, of making it 2-0 over Gorst. Marvin Assis, who was well ahead of Jason Shaw yesterday but fell victim to Eagle Eye's comeback. He's 2-0 up on 16-year-old Albert Januata. Conrad Yajushin and Tyler Steyer still in their first rack. Duan Kwok Wang and Chang Yulong 1-1. Mustafa Alner 2-0 up on Phuong Nam Pham. And the World 9-Ball champion Carlo Biardo on table 4. You can watch that match on the Matchroom Multisport YouTube channel. He's lost the opening rack to Vitali Patsura.
All right, maybe into those a little bit better. Notice the cue ball back and forth. Didn't get high, and what a great look here. My goodness. Just a pinch back on the Bluetooth to the top right. Everything connected. 4 to the 5 is the play here. gets past that, it's a wrap.
So far this week, Scott, it's been more paninis than wraps for me. The food here, by the way, at the Carib Royal Resort is absolutely amazing. It's just a really tough decision every time you go into the deli. Do you get the Cuban panini or the Italian?
Yeah, I've been living on the pastrami panini. I know you've been trying to get me on the Cuban, but the pastrami's so good I can't get away from it. All right, a little awkward here. I believe he's going to want to go forward unless the angle's bigger than I think. Yeah, he's going to have to go forward here. And this is one where you can actually overjuice it or underhit it. So you just want to carry far enough here. Well, he didn't underjuice it, that's for sure. I think he's just fine. The 9 may be going to cause a problem with the bridge, but he can just smooth this in. Such a benefit to be a shot maker.
Yeah, we analyse all departments of the game, don't we? In all kinds of cue sports. But the indisputable fact remains that the most important thing is being able to pot, and he can.
He just seems extremely comfortable out there, right? Obviously, we touched on him beating Gorst. I think just as powerful as having his family with him and how life has been going for him the last 6, 7, 8 months, because what happens outside the pool room is as important as what happens inside. I think that's a reflection of what's happening right now for Atencio.
Well, we talked about Torsten Hohen becoming a US citizen recently. If the same thing happened with Atencio, again, that Moscone Cup team is going to be greatly enhanced.
It's been flawless so far for Jesus. His talent is just shining.
We said there were 16 matches going on at the moment, and he's the first to get 3 racks on the board. A little spot of early bother for Gorst on table 2. 2-0 down to Robbie Capito, and we know that he's capable of great things. The youngster from Hong Kong who won the UK Open last year. Such a cool customer though, Gorst. He will not be overly concerned about being 2 down in a race to 10. In the arena very early this morning, we had a short chat and he went out to practice. Couldn't get through to the 3 ball, but I think that's the next best thing. There is another player actually at 3. Just got there. Anthony Maglino from right here in the USA, from right here in Florida actually. 3-1 up on Jonas Suto.
Yeah, check the cue ball out again, back and forth. He's got a sliver on the blue 2 to the lower right.
So this is Venezuela against Vietnam, underlining the cosmopolitan nature of this tournament. into the last 64, Scott. Players from 28 different countries.
Yeah, well, you can't tell me the sport's not growing. It's incredible what's happened. The fans here have been incredible. Everything's coming together. Phil, there's been so many young players from the United States that we haven't even seen before that can really play.
Yes, and the USA have got the most players left in the tournament. They've got 11. Next best, no surprise, the Philippines with 8. And I was reminded of this morning, actually. The last 4 WNT ranking events have been won by Filipinos. Alexis Ferrer, Johan Chua, Carlo Biardo, Lee Van Corteza. Oh, now then a mistake.
Yeah, I could tell right away that was wide. You know, and as Phil was giving us that pretty cool stat, really, the last 4 majors, but maybe a bit quick. I hate saying that because I know you all think that that's just something we use, but it's really the most important factor for an elite player when they make a mistake. How is he going to handle this? Because he has not been at the table much, if any. And that was a little weak. He was afraid of the left side pocket there, kind of let up. And he does not have much here. You can use the 9 and kind of like trim the 4 up on the 6, 8, 7 and maybe just use those as well. No, he just left it in open space. This isn't going to get it done. You've got to be better than that.
Yeah, Luong often makes the money stages, but doesn't go deep. This year, last 32 of the European Open and the World Championship.
Yeah, I think he's shaving the left side here and coming around using those balls I just touched on. And that's why you can't leave the pink in open space.
Last year, Luong got to the quarterfinals of the Perry Open in his native Vietnam, and that was a really good field. But again, he was knocked out in the last 64 of the European Open and the Hanoi Open. Yeah, it's a common theme, making single elimination, but not making an impact when he gets there.
Yeah, he's looking like he's going right of the 7, but boy, if you're elevating here, I don't think you can. You've got to avoid the 8. And the scratch. That's the problem. If you don't elevate, that corner pocket becomes massive. If you do elevate, the 8 becomes big. Nothing stopping Atencio here from 4-0 lead. Yeah, so one blunder on the 3 on Thien. Did not take advantage and had a real chance to take advantage, and it was go time. Atencio off to the races one more time.
Consistently gets through the ball, the cue ball that is, really nicely.
Yeah, this is the only ball here you don't want to overcut. That right long rail will accept it, just don't overpower it. Just smooth it in.
Concerning times for Luong Thien. It's all Jesus Atencio at the moment. He leads 4-0. Of course, one of the big dates on the calendar of Luong Thien is the Hanoi Open. It's scheduled for the Vietnam National Sports Complex from the 7th to the 12th of October this year. Luong obviously will be featuring on the main table there, no doubt. The big star of Vietnamese pool, undoubtedly Duong Quoc Quang, and the defending champion. He was so pleased to get his name on that trophy, Johan Chua. The inaugural winner in 2023 was Jason Shaw. The crowds on the last few days there have to be seen to be believed. There's a massive bank of seats behind the main tables, and 3,000 people were packed in there. We thought the crowds were brilliant for the first year, and they were, but there are even more last time. And you can't really overstate how popular pool is in that city. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think that's where Fedor Gorst grew his popularity first. No question. He is a huge superstar over there in Vietnam. Jason Shaw as well as many others.
Yeah, I think the Vietnamese pool fans would get behind Atencio as well, because he plays the game in a very attractive manner. There, though, nothing doing.
Yeah, I don't know what went wrong there. Notice the 9 coming clear out of the magic rack. I felt like that was one of the better hits he's made due to how the cue ball tracked. So maybe something loose there.
I can tell you there is another player who's arrived on 4 racks. It is Petri Mäkinen of Finland, who's 4-1 up on Donnie Mills.
All right, elevated here as he's swerving. Yeah, this is tough. Smart play. No matter how this finishes, he's probably going to get the window. All right, it was the red 3 that Atencio missed in the lower right corner, last rack. Can he reprieve himself and bury the long 1?
As he walks around the table, that gives me the opportunity to tell you that Fedor Gorst is 3-0 down to Robbie Capito.
I felt like, you know, when I saw the draw last night, I was just kind of going through it. And I felt like it's a pretty tough draw right there. I mean, obviously, Gorst is a slight favorite, but Capito, well, he's playing so well. Look at how he hit this ball. Just so smooth. Right in the heart. I don't think it's time to panic if you're in Gorst camp, but it's getting close. I know Fedor's not panicking. Can't say the same for Luong Thien. He just has this style, Phil, Atencio, that tells me winning an event like this shouldn't be a problem. I really feel like Atencio has all the tools.
Yeah, the one thing that remains untested, how he would cope temperament-wise if he's in a high-stakes final or semi-final. But certainly in terms of the way he plays the game, Yeah, everything is there. All of the components for success.
Yeah, you just love the way he doesn't force things. A lot of players there would have tried to pound off, but the 7 close enough. Just get... is he elevating the back of the cue a little bit to get closer to the 8 here? No, he did not. He just took what he could. Ended up really nice, I believe. I think he can draw back and beat the 9 on the right side. If not, he might have to force forward. I'll watch this shot. This is missable. You don't want to pinch it. You want to hit it wide. You see it time and time again on these tight diamond tables. If you catch the rail going in with any power, it's not going.
Well, already you get the impression this is a must-make. It is made, but where's that cue ball going? Is it behind the jaw?
Yeah, he's got knuckled. He is buried behind the knuckle. This ball will kick long 3 rails. He's got to catch right in front of the right-hand side pocket. And that's what he's looking at here. It's doable, Phil. But if you hit it too hard, it's going to come way short.
Well, we know what's happening next. Ball in hand, and the formality of moving 5-0 ahead.
Yeah, this is an unearned run here.
Like the analogy, yeah, in snooker, when a cue ball goes behind a jaw like that, we say they're angled. The player is angled. There it was knuckled, and it must feel like a bare knuckle punch to the face of Luong Thien, because he was already in trouble and now he's in deeper trouble. He's halfway to defeat already, trailing 5-0. So many high-quality exponents of the game of 9-ball out there right now. Chris Reinholdt's doing really well against Su Jua An, up by 4-1. I've noticed an improvement in Albin Ocean here, and he's 3-1 up on Mickey Krause at the moment. Yannick Pongers 4-1 over Kasper Matikainen. The winner of Pongers Matikainen will play Atencio if he comes through. Welcome back, everyone. Sorry about that short interruption in our coverage from the Carib Royale Resort and this livesb.io Florida Open. We had a few technical difficulties, so had to reset. But actually, the timing was perfect because at the end of the fifth rack, Atencio and Luong both left the arena, so we haven't missed a single ball. Atencio not missing a great deal either. And that break, not the worst. Okay, he's left the two at distance, but the one is in. And the three's open.
This is real thin if he's taking it on, but the green 6 is big. Yeah, this is what he does. I like the fact that he played it thin. All right. Thien, you have to figure something out here. Time is running out. You can bury him up behind the 7. You can use the 6. You just put them short rail to short rail. A lot of players overlook this. It's pretty effective. The 6 would be a big factor if you did that. He's just going to trim the right side of it and use the wall on the left side. But boy, way overhit. He's going to have to get lucky here.
No, sir.
Yeah, his timing looks way off, Phil. Missed that ball wide. It seems like he's gotten a little quicker as he's gone. He is a fast-paced player, but typically what these guys want to do is start out, you know, cautiously slow and work your way into that natural rhythm. So he's right-handed. He'd rather stay somewhere more out towards the center versus all the way over, I believe. Yeah, so he needs a bounce. And he's going to have a big stretch here.
When it comes to positional play, he seems quite uncomplicated. Just gets it into zones. He's so confident in his potting ability, he doesn't need to be too precise.
Yeah, Filler-esque back in Filler's day, right? I think Filler's gotten so much better with his cue ball now, but that's what Josh Filler would get away with forever. Jason Shaw still kind of plays that way. And he's falling straight here. To Phil's point, just kind of plays general position. How does that handle under the extreme heat? I think you just pull back a little here. Is he going to come all the way back? No problem. Big confidence.
Yeah, he fell victim to that positional philosophy in the previous rack when he missed the 8-ball. But I think he's just utilising his strength, which is a really good potting eye.
This could end up a little awkward on the 8. Boy, he feels confident to go forward on that ball with the 8 where it was. The 7 just becomes that much more missable.
It really is a dream start for Jesus Atencio. Nightmare start for his opponent. 6-0. That last 32 matchup, Atencio against Ponga's looking highly likely because Yannick Pongers on table 12. He's now 5-1 up on Kasper Matikainen. Jan van Leeuwen has taken a 3-1 lead over Canada's John Morra. Gorst has got a rack on the board against Robbie Capito at 3-1. Marva de Cease 4-0 over Albert Januata, the 16-year-old in early trouble. Conrad Yuzhushin 4-1 over Tyler Steyer. Same score for Changyu Long of Chinese Taipei against the Vietnam #1 Duong Quoc Wang. Mustafa Alma, who beat Gorst in the first match at last year's World 9-Ball Championship. He's 2-2 with Phawong Nam Pham. 3-3 now, Albin Aushin and Mickey Kraus. Carlo Biardo, he looks so confident, so happy. 4-2 up on Vitali Pachura. Gorst has won another rack, so he trails only 3-2. Max Eberle, 3-1 up on Mario He. And one final score I'll give you. Anthony Magalino from right here in Florida. Talk about thriving on home soil. He's 5-2 up on Jonas Suto.
Yeah, if you don't know Anthony Maglino, you better get to know him. Great player. I don't know if there's any player out there that tries harder than Anthony. That's the flick you want right there off the 9. Nearly made it in the lower left. Keep your eye on the cue ball towards the center diamond here. That is patent. Boy, is he considering being aggressive here, and that takes guts if you want to cut the 2 in the lower left because of the 3-9, but gosh, you've got a huge wall to just drift behind with the cue ball. And I think that's what he'll end up doing. And he's using an inside ball here. I feel like that's going to keep you above the 9 versus an outside ball. A little surprised at that. So maybe not as tactically defined yet as he could be. That's where a guy like Fedor Gorst ticks all the boxes, as Carl Boys would say. Has called its extension. Has a pretty reasonable jump shot to the right middle here. Is it going to get paid off? And I think he can make this. The 4-8 combination in the upper right is not out of the question.
Just needs something good to happen. Some source of encouragement.
Watch the shot clock. Does it affect him at all? Watch out, upper left.
That's a source of discouragement. And another wonderful opportunity for Atencio to keep the foot on the gas.
He's playing good. Opponent is also lending him a slight hand.
Yeah, it's amazing how often those two things go together. The other thing that is joined at the hip, playing well and having a little bit of fortune. When you're playing not your best and you need fortune, it's very rarely forthcoming.
Capito also on the 8 and 9. I believe to go up 4 games to 2 versus Gorst. Easy work here for Atencio.
The scratch in potting the 3 was the death knell in that rack for Luong Thien. It is all one way. 7-0. Conrad Yashushin controlling things against Tyler Steyer at 5-1. Marvin Assis 5-0 up on Albert Januata, but the story of the day so far is over on table number 2. Robbie Capito doubling up on Fedor Gorst at 4-2.
Yeah, about missed the 8. He actually threw his hand up an apology.
Not a good morning for the Vietnamese contingent. Duong Quoc Quang, much loved in that country. He's 6-1 down to Chang Yulong. A little further down the bracket, Aloysius Schaap 3-2 up on Roberto Gomez. We haven't mentioned that one before. Donny Mills trying to fight back against Petri Makinen. It's 5-3 now to the Finn. And Kostas Koukiadakis is 4-0 up on Naukioi. Koukiadakis, one of 4 Greek players into the last 64.
Phil, you need a raise just saying that last name.
Kostas Koukiadakis. There was a golfer I had to commentate on once called Pariah Janahasavastical. And basically I realised I'd got to do it and just sat in the car on the way home from London one day, back home to where I live in the West Midlands, and just said the name repeatedly. And even now I can just reel it off.
Well, he just reeled off a 9 on the left side, and first it was the lower left corner, narrowly missing, and this time the left middle.
Well, we've had some stormy weather here in Florida over the past week, and that was a case of it never rains but it pours for poor old Luong Thien. Golden break. He's not feeling golden, he's feeling rusty. Just sitting in his chair, unable to stop this torrent. So just like that, maybe 50 minutes after we began play, Atencio needing just a couple more racks to progress to the last 32. And that's really useful in itself, because it means he will have a nice break now before he's asked to play again. And there it was, 9-ball in without touching the side, Scott.
Yeah, and what was odd there, and I didn't notice, the 2 is what kicked the 9 in. I was thinking the cue ball, so a little less credit for Atencio, but nonetheless, it's on the scoreboard. Oh boy, look at the 9 again. He's starting to dial this break in. Timing looks great. Do you feel good enough to bank the 3 towards the pink and just draw back behind the green 6? You could also do the same thing if you think you could draw straight back behind the 7, 1, 2. It's on that line. You never know with this guy. He might just cross it on the left side. All right, might be going back behind the 7 here, using the 6. How about just chop it in? No care in the world, Phil, about the cue ball.
He tutted there, he was expecting more. He's in the zone. And he's almost in the last 32.
Yeah, this would be a real big follow-up right here to the top left. Too good to be true.
Yeah, just confirmation of what we were saying in the previous rack. When things are going well for you, Everything seems to work in your favour. As for Luong, it's been a horrible experience, this match.
I actually thought he'd go at the side pocket there. Everything going Jesus's way, as Phil has alluded.
Over on table 2, by the way, Robbie Capito sizing up an 8 ball, natural position on the 9 to go 5-2 up on Fedor course, but he's missed the 8. He's left the 8 over the pocket, as we see Vitaly Patsura fighting back against Carlo Biardo. All happening.
Yeah, and the 8 that Capito just missed, I think is maybe a 1 in 10 miss, if that. He just caught it real thick. Big roll there for Gorst. Still, you'll see on the right screen here how deep the 8 is, but Capito knows never ever supposed to miss it. He's got to come out of this pocket clean. Watch out, you don't want to marry.
Cutting back into a semi-blind pocket. Never easy, but everything is easy for Jesus Atencio. Who would have thought he would have reached the hill so quickly? So we'll go back to that one in a moment, but as you might imagine, this is a critical ball. Never in doubt. No jaw contacted. So what could have been quite easily 5-2 is only a 4-3 deficit for Fedor Gorst. Jan van Leeuwen 3-2 on John Morrow in a much slower moving contest than the one we've been concentrating on. Yannick Pongas 8-1 over Kasper Matikainen. Konrad Jajushin well down the road to victory against Tyler Steyer at 6-1. Same thing for Chang Yu Long, 7-1 over Duong Kok Wang. Mickey Kraus 5-3 over Albin Auschen. We saw Vitaly Patsura pop the 9 ball in rack 8. That was to get onto level terms at 4-4 with Carlo Biardo. Chris Reinholdt, former US Mosconi Cup player, leads Shu Jui An 4-2. Donny Mills fighting hard against Petri Makinen, now only 5-4 behind. And Roberto Gomez 4-3 up on Aloysius Yap.
I was going to say, is he going to just make the 9 here and call it a day? Ended up scratching off the 9. His common scratch to the side. It's very similar to the scratch off the bottom of the 9 to the corner. Can one of Vietnam's greats get on the board? Stop the bleeding just a little.
Yeah, just to put into perspective, he's a fine player, Luong. 2023 was his most lucrative year. He got to the semi-final of the Maldives Open. He was quarter-finalist in the China Open. Played in the Premier League that year. Finished 11th. Today, though, has been a pool disaster for him. Coming back from 9-0 down to win 10-9, that would seem unthinkable. I suppose here, just trying to avoid the ignominy of a whitewash.
Yeah, I think he's got to crash into the purple here. And Phil, I've got a pretty good analogy that I'm going to have to touch on here in a minute. as to how this match has gone. At this level, to win 10-0, not saying that Jesus is going to do that yet, but it is pretty incredible. How does this finish?
Yeah, it is incredible, but it's also now realistic. Well, his name is Luong, but the match hasn't lasted long. Carl Boys and Jeremy Jones will be giving you and I, Scott, some stick for having an easy assignment.
Oh, I can hear Carl already. Yeah, really one big shot away here. The cue ball's the trick. Well, that was off by some margin. Is he going to get away with this as well? I don't know. I think this combination is pretty easy, even though you've got to cut the purple just a bit. Cue ball will track 2 rails out back towards the center if played correctly. You don't want to have to hit it harder than you need to. Just seems to be over-amping everything. He's going to have a look, but still not automatic. Just feels like a massive gain for him, like Phil just touched on. Nobody wants to lose 10-0. So the analogy I was about to make, Phil, is in professional world of poker, which I'm sure you're familiar of. There's a player named Michael Mizrachi who just won the World Series of Poker. He was down to 3 big blinds on the day prior to winning and went on a run that nobody's ever really seen. It felt kind of like Jesus was doing the same thing here in this race to 10, but Luong Thien has other plans.
When the chips are down, can he possibly come back? Well, he would need something remarkable on the river. It is 9-1, at least. He's avoided the bagel. But the right time of day to have a bagel, Scott. Keep talking about food because I didn't have any breakfast this morning, so maybe it's subliminal. Now, let's go over to table 2, where Fedor Gorst has a chance to get back onto level terms. A few moments ago, we were talking about the possibility, the probability of him being 5-2 down, but he calmly banks the 7. And it looks like being parity. That's the thing with him. He exudes calm, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he has every trick in the bag. Every single trick in the bag. Luong Thien to break on the left. Okay. He's got the 1 down, but nothing on the 2.
You cannot help but wonder, will Robbie Capito's missed 8-ball in the 7th rack prove to be the pivotal shot?
All right, rolling out here. Boy, I don't know. Does he have to jump this? I think if he's got to jump this, you've got to give it back. And I think that was kind of an error there. No matter how this turns out, you just can't take that type of a chance. I don't have a problem pushing below the 7 to where you can flick the bottom of the 2, but this is just triple tough.
Out of the frying pan into the fire.
Gotta give him credit. He hit it almost exactly how he wanted to. He's got a big pocket here. And that might do it right there, Phil.
Yeah, from a possible big pocket now to a probable big defeat. Just keep his concentration, Atencio.
Yeah, the 7 in a good position. It's off the rail, so really, combination up to the top right should not be any problem. And the credit really to Atencio, because right out of the gate is when the steam is really on you. And he performed flawlessly the first 3 games. Had a couple of mistakes in this match, but boy, I'll tell you what, hard to discredit anything he's done here.
He's turned this Florida Open into a family affair, as Scott was saying. He's here with his wife and his child. His parents are here also. He's fueled by pride because of their attendance. And he's channeling that pride into some formidable pool.
Yeah, if I were to say anything to Jesus, is maybe just tighten up the tactical side just a tick. But boy, the shot making, unbelievable.
Well, when this 9-ball goes in, he will have won in the tournament 37 racks for the loss of 14. He'll be 4-0, and he'll be the first player into the last 32. Taking absolutely no risk, calling the extension on the 9. A job very well done. Luong Thien